But yeah, so I think that's all of like the really like actually serious news that we actually have to talk about. But this is our right-wing moron segment of the show that we enjoy so much. So I think it was earlier this week. There was an event called Canceled Con. Speakers included, mostly people who just built their entire brand going after social justice warriors and, like basic, like college campus kids with blue hair. Like that's pretty much their entire brand. So like it had like veterans with this, like Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla, who had their documentary earlier this year called No Safe Spaces. And you also have Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, all these sorts of characters. And it's basically like there's nothing surprising about it. It's basically just a bunch of conservatives complaining about how, their right-wing reactionary views get received criticism. And they're like, and basically in their mind, any form of criticism is them getting canceled.
Yeah, like the thing is, people like Nikki Haley love to say, "Oh, cancel culture does not allow people to have diverse opinions." The like main aspect of diverse opinions is literally being challenged.
Yeah, but I'm not going to show a whole lot of things from that, but there is one thing that I did send to the chat. Alex saw it, but sadly he's not here today. But, like, he thought it was one of the stupidest things he'd ever seen. But Malcolm, you said you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't. I mean, we can go.
Let's watch it. It is super funny. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up, and then I will show it to you. So this was like a clip. This is from the No Safe Spaces documentary that they showed at like the beginning of CancelCon. All right, now I'm going to share the screen. Enjoy. Victimizers beware. The racist and bigots' greatest nightmare. Social justice warriors. It's the bias response team. If you've been offended, your feelings must be defended. The freedom of expression is a microaggression. Here comes Angela Freddy. He's always ready to fight fascism with fascism. Starbucks windows don't stand a chance. Ethic enhancer. He's a systematic racism finder. Using the powers of screaming and shame, they win every debate by calling your name. They're heroes who think that they're victims. Social justice warriors.
I really don't take offense to it because it's really stupid and it's sort of funny at the same time.
So, yeah, I think that clip overall shows that these people who have built their entire brand on being anti-SJW activists, I guess, have really kind of become a parody of themselves. They started out like the core of their message is not exactly a bad one, like the idea that you shouldn't be triggered at other people's opinions just because they're different. You shouldn't just call like everyone who differs from your opinion racist or whatever. Like you should be able to hear other people's opinions. That idea in itself is good, but they've taken it to a cartoonish level to the point where they've become pretty much everything they preach against. You know what I mean? And like take like Sam Harris, for example, or like basically anyone from the intellectual dark web. And I'm like, again, I'm using the word intellectual very loosely, I guess, describing them as intellectual. But Uh, like Sam Harris pretty much like has gone to a point where anyone who remotely criticizes anything he says is someone trying to cancel him, or like, and then some people like who express like opinions like this, and then someone has a disagreement with them, they just write them off like, oh, they're just triggered libs.
Yeah, it's
And then
kind of like the of their own ideology. They try to
yeah
force you to elect it. And meanwhile, somehow want to conflate the idea of discriminatory, racist, etc. values.
speak up a little bit. I can't hear you that much.
I want to say that somehow speaking like racist, discriminatory, or any other thing is somehow limiting their free speech if you criticize that or condemn it. When it's really about having different ideas that aren't based off subjugating groups of people.
Yeah, and this essentially just turns out to be just a safe space for conservatives, pretty much. Like this whole like anti-social justice warrior platform, because take Dave Rubin's show for example. The whole premise of his show is like, I'm all about the marketplace of ideas. Yeah, I'm for hearing out other people, and then and like I'm not like those Marxist social justice warriors. And then essentially like he just ends up platforming like all these really awful people, like people who like believe in like race science, like or like whatever like
Yeah.
you would describe it, and they never actually talk about the ideas. Like whenever he does have like a lefty on, like they just talk about like how like the left has gone crazy or whatever, like, oh, like the left has become social justice warriors. He actually had a Marxist on one time, like, and when he was trying to like describe his ideas, like Dave Rubin just really sounded very out of his depth. And I guess like the last thing I want to talk about, because like we do have to wrap it up soon, is that there are within that video alone, like there's the two very conflicting narratives of like left-wing social justice warriors, because there's two separate narratives that really contradict each other. There's one which I guess is really embodied by like the bias response team, where it's like, oh, they're triggered soy boys who don't know how to handle any opinions that aren't theirs. They curl up in a ball and cry. They have trigger warning, safe spaces, blah 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 blah. But then they also, and this is embodied by like Antifa Freddy, right? Like the left is also like somehow like dangerous anarchists that want to like destroy law and order. They want nothing but chaos or whatever. Those are two very conflicting narratives, and they can't really have them both ways. You know what I mean? It's really ridiculous.